The soft hum of the medical ship Astraeus filled the sterile air as Dr. Zrith floated effortlessly through the corridor, his 4 translucent limbs gliding just above the polished floor. The Zelthorian medical team had been dispatched for routine post-battle care, treating casualties from the latest skirmish with the Krektions. But this time, something was different. Among the wounded rescued from the battlefield were several human soldiers, Deathworlders, as they were commonly referred to in the galactic community. Dr. Zrith had read about humans, of course. They hailed from a planet called Earth, classified as a death world due to its hostile environment, volcanoes, extreme weather, predatory animals, and dangerous microorganisms. But he had never encountered a human in person, let alone had one as a patient. As Zrith entered the med bay, he observed the surgical team working on one of the human soldiers. The man had sustained a grievous wound to his chest, torn open by a Krexian plasma shot. Normally, such an injury would require extensive regenerative treatments, potentially weeks of recovery under the care of Zelthorian technology. But what he saw was impossible. The human soldier's flesh was knitting itself back together, far faster than the regenerative stimulations they had applied. Zrith blinked his wide, almond-shaped eyes, disbelief setting in. He hovered closer, watching as the once fatal wound shrank before his very eyes, the skin regenerating without the use of their advanced tech. "Doctor," called one of the nurses, her voice filled with concern. "His vitals are stabilizing far faster than they should be. Our machines can't keep up with the readings." Zrith nodded, pulling out his data pad to document the strange phenomenon. His tendrils moved deftly, adjusting the settings of the bioscanner to study the human's biological response. What he found was astonishing. The cells of the human's body were replicating at a rate that far outpaced any known species the Federation had encountered. The combination of high metabolism, rapid tissue regeneration, and a robust immune system was unlike anything Zrith had ever seen. The nurse looked to Zrith, her purple eyes wide with confusion. "Should we initiate deep tissue regeneration protocols?" "No," Zrith murmured, his voice filled with wonder. "Not yet. I need to observe this." Hours passed, and the same bizarre pattern emerged in all the human patients. Some had broken bones, others had burns and lacerations, but the result was the same: accelerated healing, faster than the ship's most advanced medical tech could facilitate. By the time Captain Helena Monroe was wheeled into the med bay, Zrith knew this was no fluke. Her arm had been shattered in the fighting, a compound fracture that would typically require days of healing under controlled conditions. Yet before Zrith could even begin to apply the regeneration gel, the captain's body had already started to heal. "This can't be possible," Zrith whispered, his curiosity overwhelming his clinical detachment. "Their biology is extraordinary." But it was possible. And as Dr. Zrith would soon discover, the humans' ability to heal faster than their own technology could keep up was only the beginning of a much larger mystery. Dr. Zrith couldn't shake the unease lingering in his mind. The humans, Deathworlders by classification, were defying everything he had ever known about medicine. Their bodies were healing at a rate so far beyond Zelthorian medical understanding that it bordered on the miraculous. Over the next few days, Zrith isolated several human patients for closer observation, determined to unravel the biological mystery before him. In one of the private rooms, Captain Helena Monroe sat on the edge of her recovery bed, flexing her once shattered arm as if it had never been broken. Zrith watched silently, his delicate tendrils tapping commands into his datapad, running scans for the 3rd time that day. The results were still the same: monstrously fast cell replication, flawless tissue regeneration, and an immune response that seemed to neutralize infections before they could even begin. Nothing like this existed in any species the Federation had catalogued. "You're staring pretty hard, Doc," Monroe said with a smirk, noticing his transfixed expression. "You expecting my arm to fall off again?" Zrith blinked his wide, reflective eyes, startled by her remark. "I apologize, Captain Monroe. I've never encountered a species with such rapid regenerative abilities. She shrugged, rolling her newly healed shoulder. Welcome to humanity. We're from Earth, nasty place to grow up. But we get tough. Zrith's curiosity deepened. Earth is classified as a death world, correct? Your species evolved in an environment categorized by extreme hostility? Monroe chuckled, leaning back on her hands. That's one way of putting it. Between the predators, the diseases, and the planet itself trying to kill us every other day, yeah, we're survivors. Her voice softened, becoming more serious. You see, we had to get good at healing. We didn't have your fancy tech for most of our history. Our bodies learned to adapt. Zrith nodded slowly, taking in her words. His mind raced with possibilities, the implications staggering. Humans weren't just a curious biological anomaly, they represented an evolutionary leap that the Zelthorians had never considered. Their rapid healing was more than just fast, it was efficient, resilient, and adaptive. It made sense now why they had survived their Deathworld conditions. The more Zrith studied the humans, the more fascinated he became. He examined their muscle tissues, noting that even under intense stress, the fibers repaired themselves within hours. He analyzed their immune systems, which seemed to detect and neutralize foreign pathogens almost instantaneously. The speed at which their bones mended after fractures was beyond anything Zelthorian medical science could replicate. One night, after hours of reviewing his findings, Zrith met with his team in the medical bay. We need to present this to the Federation Medical Board, he announced, his voice filled with excitement. The human biological system is an outlier, something we've never encountered before. It could change everything we know about medicine. The other doctors exchanged uneasy glances. Dr. Yulrith, a seasoned Zelthorian surgeon, spoke up. Are you suggesting that their natural healing abilities are superior to our technology? Zrith hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Yes. In some cases, they are. The room fell into a stunned silence. The implications were enormous. The Zelthorians had always believed that their medical technology was the pinnacle of galactic healthcare. But now, standing before them was evidence that a species' natural biology might surpass their technology. Captain Monroe caught Zrith's eye and gave him a knowing smile. Told you, document. We humans are full of surprises. The days turned into weeks aboard the Astraeus, and Dr. Zrith found himself increasingly captivated by the humans. They were a puzzle he was eager to solve, but with every observation came a new layer of complexity. While the human ability to heal was extraordinary, it posed a significant dilemma: what to do with the knowledge they were uncovering. As Zrith prepared for a meeting with the Federation Medical Board, he felt the weight of his findings pressing down on him. He had gathered ample evidence of the humans' remarkable regenerative capabilities, but sharing this information could have far-reaching consequences. Would the Federation seek to exploit these abilities? Would they demand humans serve as test subjects in a quest for medical advancements? The medical board convened in a sleek, spherical chamber adorned with shimmering holographic displays. Zrith took a deep breath and stepped forward, his translucent limbs shimmering under the soft lights. The room was filled with respected Zelthorian physicians, their eyes sharp with curiosity. Esteemed colleagues, Zrith began, projecting confidence despite the turmoil in his mind. I present to you an unprecedented discovery regarding the human species. Their capacity for rapid healing and regeneration is far beyond anything our technology can replicate. As he shared his findings, the room grew increasingly animated. Doctors exchanged notes, questioned methodologies, and debated the implications of Zrith's research. A doctor named Dr. Raxil, known for his rigid adherence to protocol, stood and addressed the assembly. What you propose, Dr. Zrith, could fundamentally alter our approach to medicine. But do we have the right to interfere with the evolution of another species? If we harness their biological traits, are we not playing God? Zrith hesitated, feeling the weight of the question. But what if we could enhance their health further? What if we could collaborate? Our technology combined with their biology could result in treatments unimaginable today. The discussion spiraled, with many physicians wary of exploiting humans as mere subjects for experimentation. Zrith's vision of collaboration clashed with the fear of commodification. The tension escalated until a voice broke through the cacophony. Captain Monroe stood at the entrance of the chamber, her presence commanding immediate attention. You want to discuss the humans? You're all looking at this the wrong way. She stepped forward, her gaze steady. We're not mere subjects to be studied or exploited. We're warriors, survivors, and allies. Our healing capabilities stem from our experiences on Earth, where life is a daily battle. We don't need your technology to heal, we adapt. The room fell silent, Zrith's heart raced as he observed the human leader. But think of the potential, he urged, together, we could develop protocols that benefit both species. You could help countless beings across the galaxy. Monroe crossed her arms, her expression resolute. And at what cost? If you think humans will submit to being lab rats, you're mistaken. We're not your experiment. Zrith felt a wave of frustration wash over him. This was the crux of the issue. Their discoveries could revolutionize medicine, but they also risked reducing the humans to test subjects against their will. He could see the board members wrestling with their ethical quandary, weighing the potential benefits against the moral implications. He knew the choice would not be easy, and the fate of the collaboration between humans and Zelthorian medical science hung in the balance. Perhaps, Zrith said slowly, the answer lies in mutual respect and collaboration. A partnership rather than a hierarchy. The room buzzed with murmurs, the tension still palpable. But as he glanced at Monroe, he felt a spark of hope. Perhaps together, they could navigate this dilemma, not as conquerors and conquered, but as allies in a shared pursuit of knowledge and healing. The discussions following Captain Monroe's intervention were intense but productive. Dr. Zrith had proposed a new approach to collaboration, one that emphasized mutual respect and the sharing of knowledge rather than exploitation. The Federation Medical Board, still grappling with the ethical implications of Zrith's findings, was open to a revised proposal. Days later, a new meeting convened, this time featuring a delegation of human representatives alongside Zelthorian doctors. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation. The humans had come to discuss terms, and both sides understood that the outcome could shape interspecies relations for generations. As the meeting began, Zrith felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He sat at the center of a circular table, flanked by his fellow physicians and several humans, including Captain Monroe and her trusted second-in-command, Lieutenant Samir Patel. The Zelthorian leaders cast curious glances at the humans, who remained composed and resolute. Let's be clear, Monroe began, her voice steady and commanding. We're not here to serve as lab subjects. If we are to share our capabilities, we expect an equal partnership. We have knowledge of our biology that you haven't even scratched the surface of. This goes both ways. Dr. Raxel nodded, his demeanor more respectful now. We agree. Our intention is not to exploit your species but to learn from you and collaborate on improving healthcare for both of our worlds. Zrith seized the opportunity to present his proposal. What if we establish a joint research initiative? We can study your regenerative processes while providing you with advanced medical technology that could assist in your training and development. Patel leaned forward, intrigued. That could work, but we need to ensure that the research is ethically conducted and that we have oversight. No one wants to repeat the mistakes of the past. The conversation flowed seamlessly, with both sides discussing the finer points of their collaboration. They outlined the areas they wanted to explore: human physiology, combat injuries, trauma recovery, and even psychological resilience. Each side contributed to a growing list of shared interests, discovering common ground. But amidst the discussions, Zrith couldn't shake the feeling that the true challenge lay ahead. The human soldiers had suffered great losses during their battles, and while their ability to heal was remarkable, it did not diminish the psychological scars left behind. He felt a responsibility to ensure that their partnership addressed mental health as much as physical health. Perhaps we can also explore psychological health, Zrith suggested tentatively. Your species has endured much in conflict, and healing isn't solely physical. Monroe's eyes softened. You're right. The battle may be over, but the war within us continues. We need support systems in place, both for our soldiers and your medics who will work alongside us. As the meeting progressed, they agreed to conduct joint training exercises, where Zelthorian medics would learn from human combat medics, and vice versa. They would also share psychological care techniques, ensuring that the trauma of battle would be treated holistically. As they finalized the terms of their alliance, Zrith felt a deep sense of hope. This was more than a medical partnership, it was a step toward understanding, respect, and shared survival. The humans were not merely subjects of study, they were allies, a community forged in the fires of conflict, now ready to heal together. As the meeting drew to a close, Monroe turned to Zrith. Thank you for believing in us. This could change everything, not just for our people, but for others out there who need help too. Zrith nodded, a newfound sense of purpose blooming within him. Together, we can create a legacy of healing that transcends our worlds. The alliance was sealed, not with blood or subjugation, but with understanding, and the promise of a brighter future ahead.